इस धरती पर कभी न होगा अनुज भरत सा कोई, जो 14 वर्षों तक अपने राम की खातिर रोए। ऐसे सब भाई भाई के जुड़े हो मन के तार, अमर है राम भरत का प्यार, अमर है राम भरत का प्यार। राम भरत की गाथा होगी जब तक है संसार।
सहना भवतु सहनौ पुनस्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, Jankiji. We have been talking a lot about the karma and the incentive that we can get when we do karma, as well as all the qualities of the bhakti. What is, how is the intention in either doing karma or being a bhakti important in the quality of either your action or your bhakti attitude?
Your question is, how is it important?
Yes.
Okay. So the intention determines whether you are doing karma yoga and bhakti yoga.
Okay.
If your intention in the karma yoga is not self-development or realization, enlightenment, if that's not the intention, then it loses the tag of karma yoga.
Okay.
It becomes action like any other.
Okay.
Okay, karma means action, yoga means to unite. So if the action is not for uniting, then it's no longer karma yoga. Bhakti is the same thing. If the emotions you are generating, consciously generating within yourself, are meant to take you to divinity. You'd say, how do you consciously generate emotions? That's why they give you help. They say, okay, sit in front of an idol or put on some music. All these things generate emotions. Now, why are you generating that emotion? If it is for self-purification or in realization, then it becomes bhakti yoga. Otherwise, it's just bhoga, enjoyment. I love bhajans, I listen to them. I like to do, social work or whatever. I do it. So it's just enjoyment.
Mm. Okay, for instance, when you were speaking the last one on Sunday about having this equanimity in facing a certain situation. Okay, so sometimes you are aware that you shouldn't be excited. For instance, if you go give a lesson to the prime minister, or you know, it happened that, you know, actors, but consciously it was like I have to focus, so I was not looking anywhere, but it was very conscious that I should only focus on the person and help him as much as he wants, not looking around, not even knowing that the person is a very famous actor, and just focusing and leaving. But it is awareness that I should be really focused, and I shouldn't be impressed by to who I'm addressing or where am I.
When it's more about the other person than about oneself. Like we have gone there for service, right?
Yes.
So how best can I serve you? What best
Yes.
can I do for you?
Yes.
I mean, that should be our common thing, no matter who we meet. So if we are doing that all the time, then whoever it is, that's the service we give.
Yes, correct. Okay.
So that keeps you away from being excited about things that there's no reason to be excited about.
Yes. Yes, that's it. Afterwards, if someone asks me, so how is this actor? Yes, I may answer, but I stayed focused.
Yes, stay focused.
Because your energy also, you need this energy. You cannot, you know, you're not going there to have a cup of tea. So you have really to focus and keep this energy, and this helps you stay in your what you came for. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Tarun.
I have a question regarding higher values. So, higher values enables us to see more, and to see more means you have more. By seeing more, you have more data. If you see more, you get more data. So, to get more data, is it necessary to have higher values? Is it mandatory, or it can't we simply reflect on what we are studying and we can understand the subject?
It all depends on how you're using this word data. You cannot get data. Data is information. You cannot get data by having higher values. I don't think you're meaning it in the sense of information, but that's why I think you're getting confused, because you're using the same word in two different senses. So you don't get data by having higher values. Data you get by taking in information from the external world. You get it through, I don't know, Google or newspaper or books or teachers,
Right,
or things like that. Values is what helps you to take that data. Your values will determine what you do with the data you have. You have all this information. Now, what are you doing with it? So values will determine whether you're going to use that information in a way that benefits solely you, or it benefits a wider range of people, or whatever, wider circle, people or animals, whatever. Now, the difference is when you think like this, you have a longer vision, means you're able to see over a larger canvas in space, I mean, in how many people, as well as in time, because you can see further ahead. The better your values are, the more you can see its effect in the future. If you don't choose to do it like that, then you will see very restricted, both in terms of how many people or how many beings it's going to influence, as well as for how long. Now, this sounds very abstract, so let's take an example. I've forgotten what it's called. There was something called CFCs or something like that. They put it in the refrigerators. I remember what that thing was. There was some acronym for it. Okay, they put it in the refrigerators because the refrigerators, were more efficient that way. And so obviously they sold more and they made more money. But these CFCs or whatever the thing was.
It is, if you don't mind, I'll tell you the full form of it, chlorofluorocarbons.
Okay, chlorocarbon. So please tell us, if you know it properly, tell us, what did these CFCs do?
I don't know much about it. It is a component that is, which causes harm to the environment if it is released into the air and all that.
So it made a hole in the ozone, right? Because what they think is, I'm making this product, I can sell this product, I make more money. That's what they think. So they don't think, okay, what result will it have on the environment? What will it have? What result will be 50 years later? All this is beyond their comprehension. Or you make a drink. You put some nice addictive substance in it so that you know that people will buy that drink. And you have fantastic advertising and the whole world drinks that drink. You are the top company in the world. But the result on other people, what that drink is bringing, not your concern. Because that brings that result on other people, what will be the repercussions of that in the future, even to you? You're incapable of seeing. So you can't see space, means the pervasion, nor can you see in the distance. So this is not about data. This is about what you're doing with the information or the data that you have got.
So, but value, I think I'm moving to the next question. Values are the effect. Means how to, a person at certain level have certain values. So, how to improve, how to get them in the wider range, means how to improve on your values in that case.
So see, you're using a lot of short forms. When you say values, what does values mean? Values means what value you place on an object. That is your value. You place this value on that object or being or idea or whatever. Okay, so when these values, when you value something of a higher nature, it's called higher values. And when you value something of a lower nature, it is called lower values. Now we shorten this whole thing and call it values, you know. So let's just rewind. So what is values? It's only that which you think important.
Right.
So everybody thinks something is important. You have a current understanding that this is important. I have a certain understanding this is important. Ganga has a certain understanding this is important. Okay. Now all of us have to up our values. That means we have to start thinking of something else as more important. Now, why would we think of something else as more important? How would we do that? What do you say? How would we think? I think X is important. Now I have to think X plus 1 or X plus 2 is important. Why would I do that? How would I do that? Anybody in the class? Including you, Taruna. Why would I give something?
Desire.
Sorry?
When I have a desire for that thing.
Yeah, but how can I have it? I don't even value it at the moment. So I cannot have a desire for what I do not value. By seeing it giving more and lasting happiness. Okay, but how will I see that?
By reflecting.
When I get more information.
When I get more knowledge, correct. So how do my values grow? With knowledge. Like for instance, suppose you like Titan watches. Okay, and you love Titan watches. Okay, and you think that is it, and you're always showing off about your Titan watches. And then I tell you about whatever, Pratik Philippe. And then you say, oh, what is that? And I tell you, oh, you know, watches are this or that or Rolex or something. I tell you, you know, you can take your Rolex and you can go to the bottom of the ocean and it is fine. It will take that much pressure, blah, blah, blah. So your interest in Titan will be replaced by your interest in Pratik Philip or Rolex or some such thing, right? But how did it get replaced? Because you knew of the higher thing and you understood, oh, there's much more benefit in that than there is in this. So how do your values grow? With knowledge. When you gain knowledge of the higher, your values grow. When your values grow, your desires start in that direction.
So values are necessary for having a higher intellect.
Think what you're saying. Don't use short forms. Values means whatever I give importance to. So depending on whatever I'm giving importance to, that is my intellect, isn't it? Who's
Right.
giving importance? My intellect is giving importance.
Right.
So if my intellect is only gross and ignorant and uneducated, then what higher values am I? What higher thing would it be able to conceive? If it is that equipment which is going to do the job, no?
Right. So if I gain more knowledge and then I reflect on it, then in that case, my intellect will grow and simultaneously my values will grow.
It's the same thing.
Intellect and the values.
Value means what I'm giving importance to. That is my assessment, right?
Right.
I'm assessing something to be important or not important. So they say Vedanta University. Then you're assessing, is it important or not? Is it urgent or not? Now, how much you will think it's urgent or important or whatever depends on the intellect, isn't it? So value means the importance I'm giving. That importance is an assessment I have made. The judgment I have made. This judgment is based on the quality of my intellect.
Right. One more question. You said in last or some other class that once we understand once we really understand that selfishness causes agitation, we'll not do any unselfish thing.
We will not do any unselfish thing.
You will not do any selfish thing, sorry. So how to assess your work? Because certain times, if you think all that is selfish, but some of the things you're doing for sustenance of your own self, and then some actions are really important to be done, but अगर हम सबके बारे में सोचते रहेंगे तो then how will you how will you assess certain actions?
Okay, so let's start from the basics. That's why we talk about the ideal all the time. Now, let us say you have an ideal. Let us say you have an ideal of whatever. Give me some ideal. You know, I can only think of Vedanta University. You all will say boring, boring ideal. So you please give me one ideal so that I can use that as the example. What
I currently relate to is that I should work for having lesser desire, so that I can see things the way they are. It helps me to reach that.
Okay, chalo. So what your ideal is self-purification. You want to purify yourself from these desires. So self-purification is your ideal. Now, can you make any attempt at self-purification if you can't get your next meal?
No.
You're stuck, right? Because you have a body, and as long as you have a body, you're going to have to feed it, otherwise it will die. And what self-purification are you going to do? Now you have your sustenance, but you want your sustenance for the sake of that idea. So when you eat your food, you're doing it for self-purification. It is not a selfish desire, because the reason you're keeping this body going is because you're working for that ideal. When you do your yoga, for what is the yoga? The yoga can be, oh, my body should be so beautiful. Or if I'm not healthy, what ideal am I going to pursue in life? I have to earn money. Now, am I earning money because, oh, wow, I have so much money and then I have so much fun? Or because how will I, if I don't have money, what ideal am I talking about? The ideal means I'm going to be serving. If I can't take care of my own needs, how can I serve anybody else? Right? So every bit of it is associated with the ideal. So in your case, you're saying self-purification is my ideal. I want to purify myself of desire. And what am I supposed to get out of it? I can see things as they really are. Right? So this is a step in that direction. I feed my body for the ideal. I do my yoga for my ideal. I have certain desires. This equipment has those desires. Let us say I have a desire for marriage. Now I cannot deny myself this thing and think I'm going to purify myself. That's not happening, right? I'm taking my personality with me. I'm not leaving it behind somewhere. So every part in my personality gets directed. So if I have a desire for marriage, how do I transact in the marriage so that it helps me in self-purification? If I have a desire for movies, how do I transact with movies so that it takes me to self-purification? Everything I'm directing there. I'm not leaving any part behind. Suppose I'm a very hot-tempered person. Okay, how do I use my temper for self-purification? Now that's a bad example, I know, for you, Taruna. But anything, any negative thing, positive thing, whatever it is all going to the ideal.
Then how to deal with when you see those certain negative traits in you? How to deal with that?
Use them to the ideal. Instead of getting angry with other people for what they are doing wrong, let me get angry with myself for not doing what I should be doing. Because that will help me in my self-purification. If somebody is treating somebody else very badly, let me use my anger to protect that person.
So what does it mean? How to practically apply the point you said, take your whole personality in that direction. Means practically what?
I just told you, use your anger.
Okay.
What is the negative and positive? Negative and positive is if it's if it's directed towards self, negative. If it's directed towards general welfare, positive.
Thank you.
Now, Reshma, you and Deep Raj have been putting your hands on and off, so I have no longer any. Who am I to take first? Deep Raj, because the Reshma seems to have disappeared. Okay, Deep Raj.
So these desires that we are supposed to direct, like some desires
that we are supposed to
redirect towards the ideals. Like some desires we can drop, but some desires we are supposed to like redirect. Like I mean, not supposed to. I mean, like it's. But like my question is like why do we often say like the desire for marriage and all that cannot be dropped and all? So
because no desire can be dropped. You can drop the desire. The desire is not going to drop you. You will say, I won't think of it. You will think of it. Forcefully, you will think of it. You can't drop it. Nobody, not you, not I, not Ganga, not Nilanjan, not Taruna, not Reshma. Nobody in the world can drop a desire. It is not possible. It is an impossible. What you can do is take up something higher. And therefore, the desire of its own accord will go away. Or whatever happens to the desire. You can't do anything to it. You can only constantly refocus your mind to the higher. That's all you can do. And when I say higher, means within our range. We all have a range, right? Some is lower, some is higher. Whatever is higher in me, I just keep thinking of that. Consciously redirecting, consciously redirecting, consciously redirecting. Now, what happens to everything else? Depends. It all unfolds differently for different people. So this is the whole beauty of it. It's highly individualistic, even though it is what should I say? Even though it is true for everybody, it is still highly individualistic. It's an amazing sort of knowledge. So you have to just focus on where you want to go and let everything else fall in place.
Okay.
Reshma? Yeah, go ahead.
So the point which you mentioned in Taruna's question, that the knowledge will precede the desire.
Always.
But if I don't have a desire only, why would I take the trouble of gaining that knowledge?
If you
For
don't
example,
have knowledge, how can you have desire? How is that a possibility? Think, is there any possibility that I don't know about something but I want it? How is that possible? Impossible.
right, there may be some, but that would be a desire, right? For example, if I have a desire to be fit, I have that desire, that's why I will acquire knowledge about being fit.
No, because other way around. When you gain knowledge about the necessity of becoming fit, then the desire and then the action. In fact, if you think about it, the gap between knowing that you should be fit to the time you actually did something about it is the desire developing.
Means the knowledge was there, but until the desire did not gain sufficient momentum, the action did not happen.
Yes.
And
There
this
was
is
no desire. What it means when there's no desire means your lips are saying it, but there's no real comprehension. The moment the comprehension comes in, you do that.
okay, and it is always like that. Knowledge will always precede desire.
Always. How can you want an apple if you don't know what an apple is?
Okay. And the other thing which you mentioned about like when you want to serve others, but you're not capable of fulfilling your own needs only. So in such a case, fulfilling your needs first would be part of moving towards the ideal, right?
Of course, yeah. You cannot
Right.
expect others to serve you. But now here there is a problem in this. What you're saying is true. The problem is people spend their whole life trying to fulfill their needs only. They say, oh, my needs are not fulfilled, needs are not fulfilled. Where will you draw the line? So, I mean, it is absolutely incredible. There are people whose financial status is not very good. They are busy fulfilling, they're busy serving. There are people who've got wonderful financial status, quite secure in life. They feel that they still have to have their needs met. So this is a matter of your spiritual growth, whatever you think you need. You know the law, right? What's the law?
Forward wealth is desires minus.
You get less and less gratification and more increase.
Not that one.
Oh, not that.
How
The
much do
formula
you need?
for
How much do you need is dependent upon
your
Your
desire.
How much you desire, yeah.
How much it is.
what happened. What is the law? Just state the law.
Desire fulfilled upon desire entertained. No.
How much you need. I'm saying how much do you want? How much do you need is determined by some people are very poor, right? There are so many people who are spending their life in social work. They've got hardly any money. There are so many people like these corporate executives. They have so much money. They've got like they had fabulous careers or whatever. They're making whatever 40 lakhs, 1 crore a year, the fabulous sums of money they make, 5 crores a year, whatever. But they are not giving up that in starting any service-oriented actions. So how much you think you need is dependent upon
the level of happiness you seek is
Your
dependent upon the level.
intellect, your growth, your values.
Say the law, say the full and proper law. Yes, Asha, you're going somewhere there. Worldly needs and spiritual development is inversely proportional. Or maybe other way around. Spiritual development and worldly needs are inversely proportional. What does that mean? That means if my spiritual development is 70%, I'm going to need 30% from the world. If my spiritual development is 25%, I'm going to need how much from the world?
75%.
75% from the world. So, but for the person who needs either 30% or 75%, whatever they think they need, that is their experience. They feel, I need this, I cannot live without it. And it is true, they cannot. They cannot be happy without getting it. So while in theory what you're saying is true, Reshma, that you have to fulfill your needs, the person who's at 30% of spiritual development will need to fulfill 70% before he can think anything. And the person who's at 90% of spiritual growth will require only 10% more. That is why, don't you see it? I mean, as a matter of fact, you see it.
Something that the individual has to assess, right? Because
yeah,
this is
individual has to assess means it will be obvious.
right, because it cannot be like I will think. It cannot be like I will think that let me focus on something higher, and my needs can, maybe they'll vanish, or maybe I'll lose interest in.
Depends on where the person is, but this is not debatable that they need to focus on something higher. Okay, so just let's say that properly. Every human being has to focus on the higher if they wish to be happy individuals. There is no option. Now, what is higher for each individual will differ. So, whatever you are, whether you're at 10% of spiritual growth, 20%, 80%, 99%, wherever you are, you have to focus on the higher. If you do not do that, you will always feel a sense of dissatisfaction, permanent. And it will be interrupted with certain bouts of pleasure now and then, whenever the world does everything you want it to do. But everybody, universal law it is. This is not. But now, when I'm saying you have to focus on the higher, you have to be service-oriented. For each person, it means something different. See, we've not made an assessment of what is everybody's spiritual level, but you can make the same law. But think of it like this. Suppose I tell a person, you have to focus on the higher. You have to be service-oriented. For some people, service-oriented means working in a spirit of cooperative endeavor. Let us all work together, and then all of us will benefit. That's number one. For somebody else, when we say be service-oriented, it can mean altruism. That means I am looking for no benefit, I am just serving you. Number three, it can mean self-sacrifice. Not only I'm looking for no benefit, I am going to do myself harm so that you are benefited. Now, which form of the higher you take is going to be up to the person and his understanding of what service is. Bhagat Singh is not think, okay, let us do cooperative endeavor. It's not his cup of tea. He goes straight to self-sacrifice only. Actually, Protesilos and Laodomian, self-sacrifice. This is a line, a generous cause a victim did demand. Sacrifice himself. Now, when you come slightly lower than that, it goes into altruism. I'm going to benefit you. I'm getting nothing out of it. So people do that. Now they give in charity, they do whatever they do. Totally altruistic, just for the other person. And then entry level of service orientedness is cooperative endeavor. That at least let us work together. Let us do something together. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So, anybody else have anything? Now we have to do about reflection, right?
Ma'am, working in cooperative endeavor means I still get something out of it.
Of course, in cooperative endeavor, when we work together, like one man, one day, Tao Menon, I don't think is here today. He got a meeting with somebody. He's a politician, and I mean an elected representative. And I can't give you too much information on an open platform, but so he is elected representative, and he made us big promises. He said, I will give you 25 acres of land. He was giving us 25 acres of land. We went running to see who is this great soul who's giving us 25 acres of land. And he says, I will handle all your governmental things for you. These are two of our biggest problems. And probably a lot of work goes into this. And he's going to handle both of these things. So fabulous, right? But the question is, so what do I get in exchange? How do we work together? In other words, there's a profit motive in what he's doing. He is willing to cooperate with us. He's willing to work with us, but he's willing to work with us. He's not altruistic. He's not giving it to us. And obviously, he's not considering self-sacrifice. But he's happy. He says it's a nice cause. Love to work together, whatever. So these people, they do well in life because they know how to work with people. You know, they are what people call practical. They'll get down to brass tacks. They'll say, okay, let's see how we compromise. Let's see how we can both be happy. Or lower than that, this is the entry level for service oriented. The other side is that very, very tamasic people, they will do anything to pull you down, including killing themselves. They can do anything. I mean, they're like, I know in a joint family, there's one lady. So it's a joint family property, and they have to together sell that property. And then they both get money, right? But she will scuttle every deal. So the other party is not getting money, but she's also not getting any money. And she is the one who needs the money. The other party doesn't even need the money. But she's not able to work cooperatively. So neither the other person gets, nor she gets.
So that's tamas.
Tamas. Very tamas. So better than that is at least work cooperatively. We can work together. We can do a lot of things. We can achieve amazing things if we work together.
This is a step higher in the sense that you're able to see beyond yourself and you're willing to work in a cooperative way.
Yes, you're able to see the welfare of the whole group, as opposed to seeing only your welfare.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Ganga, sorry, I had to get
So there is no taboo in having an incentive if you work together. If he has an incentive to get his share, there is no taboo in Vedanta, as where sometimes in the Christian mentality, there is always the taboo of the incentive. We think that if there is an incentive, then the intention of higher intention, charity, will be lessened.
It is lessened. But it's still better than not working together, right?
Okay.
Yes, of course. It's not altruistic.
Yes.
It is certainly not self-sacrificing. So there are some people who will sacrifice their interest for the other.
Yes.
There are some people who are altruistic. There's no question of self-sacrifice. But the lowest is at least work together. Suppose we are in church and we are constantly battling one another, the church cannot progress.
Yes.
All the members of the church work together, we'll go forward.
Yes. It's very realistic, down to earth, common sense, Vedanta.
Yes. Yes. Realistic, down to earth, is common sense. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so now we've already studied when to reflect. When to reflect means you reflect as early in the morning as you possibly can. 4 to 6 is ideal. And if you cannot make it to the ideal, as close to the ideal as you can possibly make it. But try to bring it as close in as you can, for the simple reason that by doing it at that time, you get more bang for your buck. You're putting in so much effort, you put it in the right place in the right way, you will get more results out of it. Now, having decided when to reflect, we must now learn how to reflect. What are we supposed to do? Right? So, base of reflection is doubt. Now, doubt is considered a bad thing. And it is. If you doubt in the sense of a doubting Thomas, anything anyone tells you, doubt. Some people have an amazing ability. Like I told you, that lady who won't let any deal go through. She doubts everybody and everything. If anybody tells her anything which is on her welfare, she will have a doubt that you're up to some hanky-panky. So she goes lower and lower and lower in life because she's incapable of trusting anyone. So this is all terrible stuff. Yes, paranoid, or just doubting all the time. And one interesting thing is, people doubt a lot. It's a very interesting thing when they lie a lot. So it is an interesting thing that if you keep lying a lot, you somehow start thinking everybody else is lying a lot. So this doubt is a very bad thing. But there's one type of doubt which is a good doubt. In English, we changed the word from doubt to the word skeptic. You're not a believer. Now, we have to not be believers, and we haven't to be a doubting Thomas. We have to somehow place ourselves somewhere in the middle of this thing. So what does that mean? That translates into, I can hear something, I can question that thing without challenging that thing. Not challenging anybody, just struggling to understand what the person is saying. And this is an incredibly useful talent to have. If you are willing to listen to what a person says in such a way that you actually want to understand what they are saying, you will be amazed at what benefits it gives you. Because eventually you will yourself know whether what he is saying is sensible or not sensible, because you paid it enough attention. So it's a wonderful quality to have. And once you develop that ability, it's not only going to be so useful to you in whatever things you do in the world. And you will find how many times you have, not got into a problem because you were simply willing to listen to what the other person was saying. Now, this quality, when we bring to our Vedanta studies, then we have the mind of a skeptic. That means we are willing to listen, but we'd like to understand. We're not a believer. We don't say, oh, Vedanta says it, so it's true. We say, Vedanta says it, so some intelligent people have said it. Now let me see what they're saying. This got nothing to do with my belief or disbelief, because I understand that if something is true, it is true. Whether I believe it or don't believe it is not going to make it any more true or any less true. If it is false, not 1,000 angels swearing is going to make it true. It's either true or it is false. My belief is immaterial. So let me try and understand what the person is, or the book is, or the person is talking about. All right, so we took some examples, right? So which ones did we use? We have to see whether your theory is fit for using in different places. So the world changes. We use that example. Okay, there's one on the screen. Did we do this one? Did we do the one on the screen? Life is meant for eating, drinking, and making merry. This is another theory. Again, we can reflect on it. This is clearly not a first principle. Why is it not a first principle?
Because it's an opinion, not a fact.
Right. It is not giving you a direct cause and effect relationship. That's not a first principle. Life is meant for eating, drinking, and making merry. Now there's a theory. How is a theory made? By taking many facts. So where did this come from? Maybe it came from the fact that life is change. Everything in the world changes. Since it's going to change tomorrow, maybe we should just drink and eat and make merry today. We don't know tomorrow whether we're going to be alive or dead. We don't know whether the people we are with are going to be there. We don't know whether this cake I'm now being offered, I will still have access to tomorrow. So I must make the most of it. Maybe it came from there. I don't know where it came from. I'm just saying that you think about it. So is it true in all circumstances? Is it true in all circumstances that you should eat and drink and make merry?
No.
No. And obviously, there are many circumstances where you can't do that. You cannot, a student who's studying for his exams cannot say, I don't know whether, that there will ever be an exam, so I will not study and make merry. Cannot be true in all circumstances. Then you must know under which conditions will it work. So where will it work? It will definitely work for people who, it will be useful for people who are always putting off everything for a future period. Typical example is I have this beautiful tapestry, which I am not using because I'm waiting for some fabulous occasion when I can use it. And then when the fabulous occasion does come, that lovely white tapestry has all yellowed and it's become unusable. So some people just put off everything in their life all the time. For them, this kind of thing would be useful. Where will it not? If you're thinking in terms of goals, you cannot be doing this. What happens to those who hold this theory? Like that, you go on asking, keep on asking, until it becomes very clear to you, where is this theory applicable? Under what conditions is it applicable? And if you know that, you'll use it in the right way. We have many tools when it comes to thinking and reflecting. There are varied methods by which the human mechanism can think, develop understanding, and render solutions. Given below is a list of the types of thinking one might apply during reflection. Okay, so how many do we have? We have 13 of them. The first one is the most obvious one, question. So remember what we are studying, something that people have asked for me for the last 30 years. How do you reflect? I hope this solves the question once and for all. First method, question. How do you question? What, why, when, where, how? The Socratic method was to keep questioning until the truth was reached. Questioning the evidence, the causality, the relevance, meaning, etc. So basically, the first thing you need to know is, have you understood that sentence, whatever you're thinking about, correctly? You understood it correctly, which you get through out of this. Questioning means not taking anything as a given until it has been duly considered. Questioning means not taking anything as a given. Don't take it for granted. Don't say it's true because my teacher says so, because the book says so, because Vedanta says so. No, don't take it for granted. First, it has to be duly considered. Then, okay, questioning is clear. Now, 2. The second method which we have is logical or linear thinking. Linear means it goes in a straight line. From the available data, we deduce sequential logical conclusion. Can anyone give me an example of sequential logical conclusions? Any example? Give a simple one, or don't give some very elaborate ones.
May I?
Yes, please.
If the sky is cloudy and dark, then it will rain.
Wow. We should start. Okay, fine. If the sky is cloudy and dark, it will rain. Fine. It's a simple linear thing. But you should have begun with the statement probably that when the sky is cloudy and dark, it rains. So it is cloudy and dark, so it will rain. So simple, logical, linear things. A lot of fun. Seeing smoke far away leads us to think there must be a fire. Yes, correct. You see smoke, you find fire. It's a simple linear, straight thinking, nothing complicated about it. I mean, it can get very complicated because the linearity grows, but simple, like mathematics, just simple going from one step to the other. From the available data, we deduce sequential logical conclusions. Mathematics uses this form. It goes logically from one step to another. By this process, it finds out a hitherto unknown answer. Valid inferences, as studied in chapter 3, come under this form. Okay? Linear thinking, straight line. Another type of thinking is lateral thinking. This is to be differentiated from linear thinking. It gives our mind free rein to come up with ideas. It is the capacity to gain creative solutions to problems or situations. It is out-of-the-box thinking which creates alternative ways of achieving the end. It is a method to get away from the myopia of set ways. Okay, this is just the opposite of that. Just as linear thinking can give you an answer, very often in life, lateral thinking gives you an answer. That means you didn't go the straight way, you went round it in some way or manner. The term was first popularized by Edward de Bono. Brainstorming may be one of the examples of lateral thinking. Lateral thinking makes connections in ways that linear logic never could. Jugaad, etc. form a part of this. Now, can anyone give an example of lateral thinking?
I have an example, Jankiran. I think doing things, like you said previously, doing things together. So suppose in logical and linear thinking, I was thinking of a ball where suppose I'm playing with a ball in my goal, which is linear thinking singular. But if I go for lateral thinking, I play with that ball with many people around. So while playing with the ball in linear or lateral thinking, you come up with various solutions and observation of your understanding when you're alone and when you're with a team.
Lateral thinking is every, yes, Ganga.
You're
You're
muted,
muted.
You're
You're
muted.
muted, Ganga.
Now with the studying Vedanta and with studying also Ayurveda, studying naturopathy, studying yoga philosophy, if you make links in all these disciplines and you find a common common theory, but with all the links together, with the eating, with the exercise, with the philosophy, with the higher thinking. Can this broaden the lateral thinking?
If you leave Vedanta out of it, then yes. Vedanta is first principles. So it has to come down from there. Like you take a principle of Vedanta, we do that, and then you derive Ayurveda or health and all these other things from it.
Okay.
So otherwise, they all put together give you an overall perspective, maybe. But basically, we have to start thinking. In lateral thinking is you think of a sort of okay. So here I have a brick in my hand. What shall I do with this brick? When I say I will build my house with this brick, okay, that's linear thinking. It's meant for making a house, and I'm making mine. Lateral thinking is, here is a brick. What shall I do with the brick? I can use it as a paperweight, or I can use it something I'm thinking beyond its linear straight line method. I use it as a brick. I can use it to elevate my legs. I can use it as a support for my yoga exercises. Right? So now I am thinking apart, different from that straight line linear logic. So if you want to develop your lateral thinking, give me 10 uses of a brick. What all can I do with it? Okay, I can put it, I can arrange it like a stove and then put coal and then I suppose grill something or something like that.
The same as out of the box thinking. If you don't mind, I'll just give an example which I experimented with my maid. I don't know whether it's completely relevant or not. We use wheat flour and jowar flour. She always gets confused which flour is it. And even if I label it, she won't understand because she doesn't know Telugu or English. There's no point in labeling the covers also. Then I thought, what should I do? How to teach her so that there's no confusion. So then I thought I took small sachets, plastic sachets, put grain in that, jowar grain and wheat grain, and stapled it to the bigger envelope where she stores flour. I think I could solve the problem that way.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, very good example of lateral thinking. You think of something else. Otherwise, you can go on saying, no, she's so stupid and all, but your job is not done. You get your job done. Good. Yeah, Mani Ramalingam tactics that Sri Krishna used for war. Yes, he did all sorts of things to win the war, not entirely linear in their approach. So linear means you go in a straight line. Lateral means you go all over the place and somehow figure it out. Like Jugaad. You can't go this way, you can't go that way, and so you come up with a different idea. Yeah, Pravesh?
Ma'am, smart working can come under lateral thinking.
Smart working, yes, of course. Instead of working hard, you work smart, which means that you think of something different, you think of something better, like for instance, Usha Shri can say, she can take on this job every day, take out the atta and leave it for her maid. Right? So she's created one job for herself. So now instead of spending her time doing that, she labeled her in a way that the lady can understand. So smart. Instead of taking on more work, do it smartly. So yes.
Sometimes we're not doing the things logically. We can manipulate the things as per the outcome.
Yes, except that be careful in the use of the word manipulate, because manipulate usually has a negative connotation.
Yes.
But the fact is correct, you can manipulate it, and many times in life you have to. because सीधी उंगली से घी नहीं निकलता तो Ganga सीधी उंगली means straight finger. So sometimes you cannot take out the ghee with a straight finger, so you have to be a bit crooked. That's what it's saying. So that's what Krishna was in the war. He was a bit crooked, or well, he was more than a bit crooked. But it was all for the welfare, for righteousness, for everybody's welfare.
Ma'am, sometimes when you deal with lazy people, you have to do certain things to make them work, and you should not feel bad about it.
Depends on whether you're making them work for your benefit or their benefit.
Good questions to think about.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Sometimes you realize it's not good for them to be like this, and this is your service to them. So there's no guilt. You're doing something good for them.
Right.
Okay, so that's it for today. Hari Om.
Thank
Hari Om Janki ji.
Thank you,
Hari Om Janki ji. Thank
Hari
you.
Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om Janki ji.
Hari Om
everybody.
Janki ji. Thank you so much.